If the wisdom of the Buddha is opened, you will turn the lotus. If the wisdom of sentient beings is opened, you will be turned by the lotus. Scripture of the Lotus Blossom of the Wonderful Dharma. Chapter 2. Skillful Means. At that time, the world-honored one spoke in verse, saying, Formerly, following countless Buddhas, I fully trod the right path of the subtle, profound, and wonderful Dharma, which is hard to find, hard to see, and hard to understand. After pursuing this career throughout millions of eons, I discovered the fruit on the terrace of enlightenment and was able to perfectly understand. Like other Buddhas in the universe, I recognized the characteristics of every nature and form, and mastered the doctrine of innumerable meanings, such as emerging, settling, changing, and vanishing. This Dharma is unutterable, inexpressible, and impossible to explain in words, which are only signs. It is beyond the realm of terms and concepts. Among all the other living beings, no one can understand this Buddha Dharma except the Bodhisattvas, whose resolve and faith are firm. The Dharma of the Buddhas is extremely subtle and profound, inscrutable and faultless, and beyond reckoning or discussion. I know the marks and meanings of this Dharma, as do Buddhas of other ages across the universe. Let it be known that the teachings of the Buddhas do not differ. One should thus display great trust and faith in the lotus blossom of the wonderful Dharma. I speak no falsehood. I preach the highest truth. I employ tactful, expedient, skillful means to explain the Dharma to the world at large. I thus attract living beings who have myriad attachments and enable them to attain escape from their suffering. Listen carefully. The Dharma that the Buddhas have discovered is preached to living beings using countless skillful means. I thoroughly know the thoughts of living beings, the nature of their several desires, their past helpful and harmful conduct, and the various paths they are following. Knowing these things, I resort to manifold expedient devices, using parables, phrases, illustrations, and reasonings, to thereby cause all beings to rejoice. There are those who are continually entangled in the thicket of sectarian views, and who delight in petty rules, arguing it is thus, and it is not thus. Such men and women are greedily attached to existence or non-existence, and fail to tread the subtle, profound Buddha path. They do not hear the Buddha call, and are tormented by a multitude of woes. For these vexed living beings, I say, put an end to your trouble. I tactfully teach them a difficult path toward nirvana, to enable them to glimpse the Buddha wisdom. But I never said to such beings, you all shall attain the Buddha path. The reason I never told them is that the time for saying it had not yet arrived. But now is a fit opportunity, and precisely the very time I have resolved to explicitly and definitively preach the Mahayana Great Vehicle Dharma, also known as what really is. Within the Buddha lands in the universe, there is the Dharma of only one vehicle, apart from the compassionate, tactful, expedient teachings which use provisional phrases and expressions to describe a diversity of vehicles. The ultimate reason Buddhas appear in the world is to proclaim this one great vehicle teaching, thus fully revealing the Buddha knowledge, the Buddha wisdom. This is my true cause and aim. Let it be known that formerly I took a vow, wishing to cause all living beings to be just like me, no different. In keeping with my former vow, my wish is now fulfilled, for I hereby share the complete Buddha knowledge, leading all to enter the Buddha path. Thus I reveal and proclaim that all existences, from their very origins, are already of the nature of nirvana. Knowing this and following me, my spiritual sons and daughters, the Bodhisattvas, in a future age shall all be able to become Buddhas. Remove all doubt and uncertainty. All the world-honored ones, all of them, expound the truth of the one vehicle. For countless eons in the past, incalculable Buddhas have not differed. They have all preached the various holy teachings by means of illustrations, reasonings, parables, and innumerable tactful powers. Those world-honored ones all eventually proclaim the one vehicle Dharma and lead untold billions of living beings to enter the Buddha path. The great holy saints, knowing the deepest thoughts of all beings and what they most desire in their hearts, compassionately reveal the prime meaning. If any, even with distracted thoughts, express homage by reciting just once, Nama Buddha, they have all attained the Buddha path. If any hear this great vehicle Dharma, even if they have only heard the name of this scripture, and pay homage to it, they have all attained the Buddha path. Future Buddhas, of number incalculable, shall likewise preach the Dharma by resort to infinite skillful means, educating living beings that they may enter into the Buddha knowledge. Of those who hear the Dharma so preached, not one shall fail to attain Buddhahood. Nama Buddha. Nama Sadharma Pundarika Sutra. Every Buddha's former original fixed vow is as follows. By the Buddha path which I walk, I desire universally to lead living beings to attain this path as well. Though the Buddhas of future ages expound countless schools of doctrine, teaching numberless gateways to the Dharma, they shall, in fact, be doing it for the sake of the one vehicle. The Buddhas, the world-honored ones, know that nothing has an independent existence. No being or thing has its own separate fixed nature or body. All beings and things are inconceivable and mysterious. Knowing this, the Buddhas, who emerge from the Buddha seeds by virtue of causes and conditions, reveal the one vehicle. They reveal the secure stability of the great vehicle Dharma, ever abiding in the world. Having awakened on the wisdom terrace of the Buddha path, they skillfully preach that every phenomenon abides in the reality of suchness. The present numberless Buddhas in the universe, honored by men and women by expressions of homage, appear for the benefit, relief, and ease of all beings, ultimately proclaiming this one vehicle Dharma of supreme enlightenment. Those Buddhas who know supreme enlightenment skillfully demonstrate various kinds of paths. They do so, in fact, for the sake of the one single blessed Buddha path. I know the deeds and conducts of the multitudinous beings, that which they are mindful of in their deepest thoughts, the nature of their desires, their vigor and zeal, and the sharpness or dullness of their spiritual faculties. by explaining a variety of causes and conditions, skillfully using narratives, words, and phrases, and by resort to expedient devices, I tactfully teach according to their individual inclinations. Wisely knowing the dispositions and desires of men and women, I put them at ease by preaching various Dharma gateways. Then I rouse them to enter the Buddha path, causing them all to gain joy and gladness. Be it known, I see the sons and daughters who aspire to the supreme enlightenment of the Buddha path, who pay homage and draw near to the Buddhas with reverent, deferential thought, having heard and understood the many-sided use of compassionate, skillful means. The reason a Buddha emerges is to expound the Buddha wisdom, the excellent lotus blossom of the wonderful Dharma, thus revealing the supreme enlightenment. I, joyfully and courageously, free from hesitation in the midst of the Bodhisattvas, frankly casting aside my expedient devices, now only proclaim the unexcelled Buddha path. As you Bodhisattvas hear this Buddha Dharma, any remaining doubts will be removed. Keep this subtle, profound Dharma, this wonderful Dharma, this mystery of all the Buddhas, Nama Buddhas. As opportunity serves, by resort to myriad skillful means, and in accord with what is appropriate for the situation, the Buddhas teach the Dharma. But you already know the expedient, tactful, and mysterious ways of the Buddha. Such is the mastership of the leaders, the teachers of the ages. Therefore, rejoice greatly in your hearts, since you know that you yourselves shall become Buddhas. Revelation of the lifespan of the Buddha. After further elaboration of the one vehicle Dharma, the world-honored one proclaimed the following in verse. Since I attained Buddhahood, an incalculable number of eons have passed, during which time I have ceaselessly preached the wonderful Dharma, teaching countless billions of living beings. I have taught many such beings to enter the Buddha path, encouraging them toward full ripeness over time, and have roused myriad bodhisattvas, establishing them in the Buddha knowledge. Throughout these millions of eons, my resolve has always been firm to continuously preach on the Mount of the Divine Eagle and in all my other sacred dwelling places, the lotus blossom of the wonderful Dharma. This realm of mine is tranquil, perfectly safe, filled with devout men and women, and with bodhisattvas who are firm in their faith and resolve. There are gardens and groves with many blossoms and fruits, palaces and towers adorned with gems, musical instruments skillfully played, and flowers of various kinds raining down. My pure land of bliss will never be destroyed. I exist and am always here, expounding the Dharma. The glorious power of my wisdom knows no limit. My wisdom light shines infinitely, and my lifespan is of countless eons. Do not in regard to this beget doubt. Ever knowing the living beings who tread the path, and those who do not, in response to those who may be saved, I preach the right principles of salvation. My thoughts are always, how can I incline beings toward enlightenment? How can I encourage them to enter the unexcelled path and to speedily attain Buddhahood? The all-sidedness of the Bodhisattva, regarder of the cries of the world. A great Bodhisattva, called Avalokitesvara, showed supernatural powers and the faculty of transformation. So later, the world-honored one, in response to a question, described in verse the offspring of the Buddha. Listen to the conduct of Avalokitesvara, who responds well to beings in all places, in all directions. The cry regarder's pure, vast vow is as deep as the sea, accomplished over an inconceivable number of eons. I will tell it to you in brief. To hear the name of the regarder of the cries of the world, to see or regularly think of this Bodhisattva, will extinguish the woes of existence. Men, women, and children suffer embarrassment and discomfort. Countless troubles and woes press upon them. The cry regarder, by virtue of unblemished knowledge and mystic wisdom, can rescue living beings from their woes. Avalokitesvara is fully endowed with the power of supernatural penetration, has broadly cultivated wisdom and skillful means, is visible in all directions and in all regions of the world, and is ceaselessly working to end suffering and bring peace to victims of wretched states of existence. At that time, arising from the assembled multitude, the Bodhisattva Infinite Mind, out of the joy in his heart on hearing such a teaching, uttered the following stanzas. O you, whose regard is true and pure, serene and kind, benevolent and compassionate, wisdom's sun destroying darkness, who illumines all the world. O you, who rejoices in kindness, whose essence is goodwill, compassion wondrous as a great subtle cloud, pouring Dharma rain to quench the flames of distress. Yours is the wondrous voice, voice of the world regarder, who observes the sounds of the world, therefore ever to be kept in mind. From moment to moment we conceive no doubts. In pain, distress, calamity, and death, we recollect. The pure and holy saint is rescue, refuge, protection, and escape. Perfect in all merit, with benevolent eyes beholding all, boundless ocean of blessings, we revere the regarder of the cries of the world. I dedicate any merit generated from my efforts to protect and assist the Lotus Sutra to the awakening of sentient beings throughout the universe. Namo Mita Boots. Namo Mita Boots. Namo Mita Boots. Sadharma Pundarika, or The Lotus of the True Law, Chapter 1, Introductory. Thus have I heard. Once, the world-honored one was staying at Ragagriha on the Gridyakuta mountain with a numerous assemblage of monks, 1,200 monks in all of them arhats, free from depravity, self-controlled, thoroughly emancipated in thought and knowledge, having done their duty, reached the goal, in whom the ties which bound them to existence were wholly destroyed, who had reached the utmost perfection in subduing their thoughts. These were eminent disciples such as the Venerable Shariputra, the Venerable Subhuti, and the Venerable Rahula. With them were yet other great disciples, such as the Venerable Ananda, still under training. Also present were 6,000 nuns, having at their head Mahaprajapati and the nun Yasodhara, the mother of Rahula. Further, there were 80,000 bodhisattvas, all endowed with perfect enlightenment, firmly standing in wisdom, who rolled forward the never-deviating wheel of the law, who, under many hundreds of thousands of Buddhas, had planted roots of goodness, were fully penetrated with the feeling of charity, and were capable in communicating the wisdom of the Tathagatas. These bodhisattvas were renowned in many thousands of worlds, having saved myriad sentient beings. Included were the bodhisattvas Manjusri, Avalokiteshvara, Mahastama-Prampta, and Maitreya. Now, at that time, the world-honored one, surrounded, attended, honored, revered, venerated, and worshipped by the four groups of hearers, after expounding the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, a text serving to instruct bodhisattvas and proper to all Buddhas, sat cross-legged on the seat of the law and entered upon the meditation termed the station of innumerable meanings. His body was motionless, and his mind had reached perfect tranquility. As the world-honored one entered upon his meditation, there fell a great rain of divine flowers, covering the world-honored one and the four groups of hearers, while the whole Buddha field shook. Then did those who were assembled and sitting together in that congregation, monks, nuns, male and female lay devotees, as well as gods, nagas, goblins, gandharvas, demons, garudas, kinnaras, great serpents, men and beings not human, as well as governors of a region, rulers of armies, and rulers of 4 continents, all of them with their followers, gaze on the world-honored one in astonishment, in amazement, in ecstasy. And at that moment there issued a ray from within the circle of hair between the eyebrows of the world-honored one. It extended over 1,800,000 Buddha fields, so that all those Buddha fields appeared wholly illuminated by its radiance. And the beings in any of the 6 states of existence became visible, all without exception. Likewise, the world-honored ones staying, living, and existing in those Buddha fields became all visible, and the law preached by them could be entirely heard by all beings. And the bodhisattvas in those Buddha fields who plied the bodhisattva course with ability, due to their earnest belief in numerous and various lessons and the fundamental ideas, they too all became visible. And the stupas made of jewels and containing the relics of extinct Buddhas all became visible in those Buddha fields. Then rose in the mind of the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya this thought: "Oh, how great a wonder does the Tathagata display! What may be the cause? What the reason of the world-honored one producing so great a wonder is this? Such astonishing, prodigious, inconceivable, powerful miracles now appear, although the world-honored one is absorbed in meditation. Why, let me inquire about this matter. Who would be able here to explain it to me?" He then thought, "Here is Manjusri, who has plied his office under formal Tathagatas and planted the roots of goodness while worshipping many Buddhas. This Manjusri must have witnessed before such signs of the former Tathagatas, those perfectly enlightened Buddhas. Of yore, he must have enjoyed the grand conversations on the law. Therefore, I will inquire about this matter with Manjusri." And the 4 groups of the audience, monks, nuns, male and female devotees, numerous gods, nagas, goblins, gandharvas, demons, garudas, kimnaras, great serpents, men, and beings not human, on seeing the magnificence of this great miracle of the world-honored one, were struck with astonishment, amazement, curiosity, and they thought, "Let us inquire why this magnificent miracle has been produced by the great powerful Lord." At the same moment, at that very instant, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya knew in his mind the thoughts arising in the minds of four groups of hearers, and he spoke to Manjusri. "What, O Manjusri, is the cause? What is the reason of this wonderful, prodigious, miraculous shine having been produced by the world-honored one? Look how these 18,000 Buddha fields appear, variegated, extremely beautiful, superintended by Tathagatas." Then it was that Maitreya, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, addressed Manjusri in the following stanzas. "Why, Manjusri, does this ray darted shine forth, and why this abundant rain of flowers? I see also many bodhisattvas living in the forest, and others inhabiting the empty wilderness, engaged in reciting and reading. And some bodhisattvas I see, full of wisdom, betake themselves to mountain caves, where by cultivating and meditating on the Buddha knowledge, they arrive at its perception. Others, who have renounced all sensual desires by purifying their own self, have cleared their sphere and obtained the 5 transcendent faculties. Some are standing firm, the feet put together and the hands joined in token of respect toward leaders. Some, thoughtful, meek, and tranquil, who have mastered the niceties of the course of duty, question the highest of men about the law and retain in their memory what they have learned. And I see here and there some sons and daughters of the principal Buddha who, after completely developing their own self, are preaching the law to many hundreds of thousands of living beings with many myriads of illustrations and reasons. Joyfully they proclaim the law, rousing many bodhisattvas. They strike the drum of the law. Others are saving creatures in the hells by emitting radiance and rouse them to enlightenment. There are some sons and daughters of the Buddha who dwell in the forest, abiding in vigor, completely renouncing sloth, and actively engaged in walking. It is by energy that they are striving for supreme enlightenment. Others complete their course by keeping a constant purity and an unbroken morality, like precious stones and jewels. By morality do these strive for supreme enlightenment. Further, I see bodhisattvas who have forsaken all wanton pleasures, shun unwise companions, and delight in being with genteel men and women. Then there are bodhisattvas who, with avoidance of any distraction of thoughts and with attentive mind, have meditated for years in the caves. These strive for enlightenment by dint of meditation. Some again offer in the presence of Buddhas and the assemblage of disciples gifts consisting of food and drink, medicines. Others offer in presence of the Buddhas and the assemblage of disciples clothes. They bestow in presence of the Buddhas hundreds of thousands of monasteries which they have caused to be built of precious substances, and which are furnished with numerous couches. Some present the leaders and their disciples with neat and lovely gardens, abounding with fruits and beautiful flowers, to serve as places of daily recreation. When they have, with joyful feelings, made such various and splendid donations, they rouse their energies in order to obtain enlightenment. These are those who try to reach supreme enlightenment by means of charitableness. There are also sons and daughters of the Buddha who try to reach enlightenment by wisdom. They understand the law of emptiness, unattached, like birds in the sky. Further, I see many bodhisattvas who are worshipping the relics of the Buddhas. I see thousands of stupas, numerous as the sands of the Ganges River, which have been raised by these sons and daughters of the Buddhas, and now adorn thousands of grounds. Those magnificent stupas, made of 7 precious substances, measure in height to no less than 5,000 yojanas and 2,000 in circumference. Such honor do the sons and daughters of the Buddhas render to the relics of the Buddhas, so that all directions of space are brightened. From this spot I behold all this, those numerous thousands of creatures, both in this world and heaven, covered with flowers, owing to the single ray shot forth by the Buddha. Oh, how powerful is the leader of men! How extensive and bright is his knowledge, that a single beam darted by him over the world renders visible so many thousands of fields. We are astonished at seeing sign, and this one so great, so incomprehensible. Explain me the matter, O Manjusri. The sons and daughters of the Buddha are anxious to know it. The 4 groups of the congregation in joyful expectation gaze on thee, O hero, and on me. Gladden their hearts, remove their doubts. Grant a revelation, O son of the Buddha. Why is it that the Buddha has now emitted such a light? It must be for some purpose that this great ray has been emitted. Is the world-honored one to show the primordial laws which he, the highest, discovered on the terrace of enlightenment? Or is he to prophesy the bodhisattvas their future destiny? There must be a weighty reason why so many thousands of fields have been rendered visible, variegated, splendid, and shining with gems, while Buddhas of infinite sight are appearing. Men, gods, goblins, and titans, the 4 groups of the congregation are eagerly awaiting what answer Manjusri shall give in explanation. Whereupon Manjusri, Prince Royal, addressed Maitreya, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, and the whole assembly of bodhisattvas in these words. It is the intention of the Tathagata to begin a grand discourse for the teaching of the law, to pour the great rain of the law, to make resound the great drum of the law, to raise the great banner of the law, to kindle the great torch of the law, to blow the great trumpet of the law, and to strike the great timbrel of the law. Again, it is the intention of the Tathagata to make a grand exposition of the law this very day. I have witnessed a similar sign of the former Tathagatas, the perfectly enlightened. Those former Tathagatas, they too emitted a lustrous ray, and I am convinced that the Tathagata is about to deliver a grand discourse for the teaching of the law and make his grand speech on the law everywhere heard. And because the Tathagata wishes that this Dharma be heard everywhere, therefore does he display so great a miracle, this foretoken of consisting in the luster occasioned by the emission of a ray. I remember the days of yore, many immeasurable, inconceivable, immense, infinite, countless eons ago. There was born a Tathagata called Kandra Surya Pradipa, a Sugata, a knower of the world, a teacher, a Buddha. He showed the law. He revealed the duteous course, which is holy at its commencement, holy in its middle, and holy at the end, good in substance and form, complete and perfect, correct and pure. That is to say, to the disciples he preached the law containing the 4 noble truths, the chain of causes and effects, finally leading to nirvana. And to the bodhisattvas he preached the law connected with the 6 perfections, and terminating in the attainment of supreme perfect enlightenment. It was at that time, Maitreya, that the world-honored one, Khandra Surya Pradipa, the Tathagata, after expounding the Dharma called the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, a text of great extension serving to instruct bodhisattvas and proper to all Buddhas, at the same moment and instant, at the same gathering of the classes of groups, sat legged on the same seat of the law and entered upon the meditation termed the Station of Innumerable Meanings. His body was motionless, and his mind had reached perfect meditation. And as soon as the world-honored entered upon meditation, there fell a great rain of divine flowers, covering the Lord and four classes of hearers, while the whole Buddha field shook in 6 ways. At that moment there issued a ray from within the circle of hair between the eyebrows of the world-honored one. It extended over 1,800,000 Buddha fields, so that all those Buddha fields appeared wholly illuminated by its radiance, just like the Buddha fields do now, O Maitreya. At that juncture, Maitreya, there were 20 kotis of bodhisattvas following the Lord. All hearers of the law in that assembly, on seeing how the world was illuminated by the luster of that ray, felt astonishment, amazement, ecstasy, and curiosity. Now it happened, Maitreya, that there was a bodhisattva called Varaprabha who had 800 pupils. It was to this bodhisattva Varaprabha that the Lord, on rising from his meditation, revealed the Dharma called the Lotus of the True Law. He spoke during fully 60 intermediate kalpas, always sitting on the same seat, with immovable body and tranquil mind. And the whole assembly continued sitting on the same seats, listening to the preaching of the Lord for 6 intermediate kalpas, there being not a single creature in that assembly who felt fatigue of body or mind. As the Lord Khandra Surya Pradipa, the Tathagata, during 60 intermediate kalpas, had been expounding the Dharma called the Lotus of the True Law, a text of great development, serving to instruct bodhisattvas and proper to all Buddhas, he instantly announced his complete nirvana to the world, saying, "Today, O monks, this night, in the middle watch, will the Tathagata, by entering the element of absolute nirvana, become wholly extinct." Thereafter, that very night, at that very watch, the world-honored one Khandra Surya Pradipa, the Tathagata, became extinct by entering the element of absolute nirvana, and the aforementioned Dharma, termed the Lotus of the True Law, was kept in memory by the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Varaprabha. During 80 intermediate kalpas did the Bodhisattva Varaprabha keep and reveal the commandment of the world-honored one who had entered nirvana. Perhaps, Maitreya, you feel some doubt, perplexity, or misgiving that in those days, at that time, there was another Bodhisattva Mahasattva Varaprabha, preacher of the law. But do not think so. Why? Because it is I myself who in those days, at that time, was the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Varaprabha, the world-honored one, the supreme king of the Sakyas, the all-seeing, who knows the highest truth, is about to pronounce the excellent sutra which I have heard before. That very sign displayed at present is a proof of the skillfulness of the leader. The lion of the Sakyas is to make an exhortation, to declare the fixed nature of the law. Be well prepared and well-minded. Join your hands. He who is affectionate and merciful to the world is going to speak. He is going to pour the endless rain of the law and refresh those who are waiting for enlightenment. And if some should feel doubt, uncertainty, or misgiving in any respect, then the wise one shall remove it. For the bodhisattvas here, striving after enlightenment.